Hello, I'm Steven,
And I'm Aaron.
and we've just seen Jurassic
Jurassic
World
World
Rebirth, new film that's out in theaters right now, starring Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Rupert Friend, Jonathan Bailey, and it is directed by Gareth Edwards. So, what do you expect us to say? The first one was great, the second one was dull and boring. You and I are in the minority of people, I guess, who will defend the third movie as being a solid thrill ride. And then the rest, I think, have been consistently terrible, although some people will make a case for Jurassic World, the first one.
Yeah, that second trilogy only got worse with every successive movie.
And now we're doing it again. Rebirth. Apropos, that title seems to be. The franchise is being rebirthed, a new trilogy is being birthed. I can't say I was looking forward to this, and after seeing it, I'm not looking forward to more of these going forward, but all I can say is I hope the next installment is not as much of a snooze fest as this one was.
Yeah,
This was really boring.
this was terrible, and I only think it's terrible after leaving the movie and sitting on it for a little while. While watching the movie, I pretty much had the same reaction. Like, this is just really boring. Everything that's kind of exciting or any of the action set pieces or beats we kind of have already seen from the trailers.
And in the other movies, because this movie plays like a highlight reel of Jurassic Park in slow motion.
Yeah, I was going to say,
This thing is packed to the brim with member berries.
what do you think of 2025's 1993's Jurassic Park? Because that's the reason why I went from thinking, like, this is just like a really mediocre to bad Jurassic Park movie to thinking it's terrible.
Did you notice it happening in real time, or did you notice it after the movie was over when you put the pieces together?
I was noticing it in real time that things like reminded me heavily of stuff from the first movie, but it wasn't until after leaving when I was thinking about it. I was just like, they really just remade the first movie, only they swapped the characters around and played the scenes out of order, but it doesn't have anything from that first movie that made it work.
No. And something that I thought was funny is that they even took something from the third movie. The climax to this movie is the climax to Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, and
Complete with the "I'm not going anywhere" fake out.
exactly. So I mean, say what you will about Jurassic Park 3, that movie never pretended to be anything other than what it is.
That's why we like it. It was upfront about the fact that it's just going to be a simple thrill ride with some likable people.
And that's kind of the key here is the characters. I mean, I will remember Kirby and Eric and Billy and
Udesky.
Mr. Udesky and the Spinosaurus and all that stuff. I am never going to remember these characters. I barely remember one of their names, and it's only because his name is shouted so many times in the movie. So it's set sometime after Dominion, which was the last entry into the series where dinosaurs have kind of coexisted with humans for a while. This one immediately undoes all that because it pretty much has to get us back to a status quo. So we start with it giving us some text saying, people don't care about dinosaurs anymore. They don't find them exciting. Dinosaurs can't live in urban areas or some of the populated cities because of the oxygen in the air, or the environment is hazardous to them. So they only live in equatorial areas.
Yeah, they're banished to an island on the equator. And it was funny, the movie opens up with that text, and when the text happened on screen, I thought, couldn't they have said that in exposition? And 5 minutes later,
and they do.
They say in exposition.
Yeah, so there's a rich CEO guy, businessman, who comes to Scarlett Johansson with a mission. We're trying to make this life-saving drug that can end future illnesses like cancer or heart disease or, whatever. And we have to get the DNA samples from these mega dinosaurs that live on this island where all human travel has been banned. So this is a covert operation.
Yeah, so we have to extract 3 DNA samples from these 3 different dinosaurs. And how they do it is they shoot a dinosaur with a dart, which pumps the blood into a vial, and then it shoots the vial into the air like a rocket where it parachutes down for the extraction team to collect it.
Yeah, so they need 3 specific dinosaurs, And that's kind of the movie, is stringing together these three set pieces with the flimsiest of writing and the worst of characters.
And while this extraction team is on the island looking for these three samples, a small family on vacation have shipwrecked, and then the extraction team picks them up, and then they join in the adventure.
This family is out here where human travel has been banned, so it's like, why are they here? And then, yeah, they just get absorbed into the main cast because it's a Jurassic Park movie, so we need to have children in the movie. The children have to be in peril.
I realized that after the fact, because as we were watching the movie, I spent the whole thing wondering, why is this family here?
Yeah.
The extraction team would have been sufficient, and then it hit me afterwards, oh, it's a Jurassic Park movie. We need to shoehorn in some kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a father, his teenage daughter, his young daughter, and the teenage daughter's asshole, lazy boyfriend.
Yeah, and all of these characters are stupid. They make idiotic, moronic decisions. You don't like anybody in this movie. And that's problem number one, is that all these characters are unlikable from the jump. The movie opens with them setting up this mission and trying to recruit the team members. And all anybody cares about is the money. You know, how much money are we getting paid for this? We're doing this for the money. The business guy's like, oh, we're going to get these DNA samples, we're going to make the cure for heart disease, and we're going to sell it to the highest bidder, and we're going to make so much money. And it's like, okay, I already hate these characters because this is everything that I hate about the healthcare industry. And it's like, who do I have to root for? Nobody. And we slowly start introducing these characters, and that's all they talk about is how many zeros on their paycheck they're gonna have.
Yeah. It's funny, Scarlett Johansson's character, Zora, she's supposed to be like a mercenary, but she acts more like a ditzy character from a romantic comedy.
Scarlett Johansson knew exactly what type of movie she was gonna be in when she read the script, and I think it's pretty obvious that she does not care, and she's just, like, doing whatever she wants.
So you were getting Madam Web vibe watching her?
Very much so. She's smirking constantly.
Yeah.
She's smiling through all her dialogue, even if they're talking about, like, serious stuff that's going on. She's not taking this seriously at all.
Her character does not read as hardened veteran mercenary. She feels like she's out of a romantic comedy. And this tracks because they try to shoehorn in this piss-poor romantic subplot between her and one of the doctors, one of the, handsome, rugged-looking doctors.
He's a nerdy museum guy. Like, nobody goes to the museums anymore, so he's going with them because he's a dinosaur consultant, and he's the expert. He knows which ones to look for, and, just stupidity, like how they act and their instincts and, stupid crap like that.
And then there's Mahershala Ali, who's Duncan. He's the man who owns the boat that's going to get them to the island.
Duncan is the only character in this movie.
Yes.
Who actually feels like a human being with a heart and a soul.
Yes. His whole thing is that I guess he's like divorced from his wife because it seems like he lost a son and they separated because they couldn't be together without thinking of their dead child. And his whole arc becomes protecting these kids when their paths cross.
Yep. They because everybody else on the ship doesn't want to go save the family that's marooned.
Cha-ching!
And being hunted by this dinosaur in the water because they all see dollar signs, and Duncan's kind of the only one with a heart who says, no, this is now a rescue operation, we're going to get these people, we're going to protect them. Once they get them, they still proceed to the island to complete their mission with family in tow, and it's like, why are we doing this? Once you've picked up this family, sorry, the mission's over. We're going back to shore so we can drop these people off. But no, they just tag along because they have to, because it's a Jurassic Park movie. And all they do is complicate the story and split the time with characters in two. Half the movie spent with the mercenaries going after the dinosaurs, and then the other half is like a ripoff of the Alan Grant scenario from the first movie where he's stuck with the kids.
Yeah. And this family that they're following around, like I mentioned, the teenage girl has this asshole, lazy, selfish boyfriend. His whole character arc is basically revealing that he's actually a good guy.
He's actually pretty good. And the father's arc is realizing, oh, you know what? He's actually a good guy.
Here's the problem. That arc gets solved halfway through the movie.
Yep. Yep, and then he just becomes a comedic device. He just becomes a joke spitter.
Yeah, none of it funny.
Yep, he becomes the butt of the jokes.
And it's another one of those cases where it feels like a 60-year-old man trying to write dialogue that he thinks teenagers would say, and it's just embarrassing. Everybody in this movie kind of talks like a teenager.
Yeah, it's the Marvelification of the series is complete at this point. Nobody talks like human beings. Everybody talks in quips. One of the only times the characters actually do like talk about anything real or serious doesn't really amount to anything. There's a scene with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali when they're on the boat setting sail towards the island, where they're kind of talking about their traumatic past. Like Scarlett Johansson lost her mother to some kind of heart-related illness, and Mahershala Ali lost his son and his wife divorced. And then Scarlett Johansson also has a teammate that got blown up a while back. And you're thinking like, okay, so there's something like to these characters where they have like dramatic pasts and something's going to happen to kind of change them, but that doesn't really relate to anything that's going on in the movie.
No, only Mahershala's backstory connects with what's happening in the present.
Well, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's does as well because her mom died from the heart stuff, but
and she's presented with the conflict of, do we take this cure and just give it to the pharmaceutical companies so they can cash in, or do we give it to everyone?
Yeah, do we privatize it or do we make it public? And it's like, that's really not much to go off of. That's not a character. There's no evolution, really. The museum guy, all he wants to do is have an adventure and see these things in the wild because he's only ever seen them on TV or in a museum or fossilized or whatever.
Yeah, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, he's basically the Ellie Sattler of this movie.
Even Alan Grant, because in the first movie
Alan Grant.
He carried around that raptor claw, and then
I thought they were going to reveal that he was the kid from the first one.
What? Tim?
No. They come at you from both sides.
Oh, the little brat.
Yeah, the little punk kid who Alan Grant shows up with the raptor claw.
That didn't even occur to me.
Because he mentions in passing that he studied under Alan Grant. And I was thinking, oh my god, if they reveal that this is that kid from the first movie who Alan Grant scares, I'm going to be so upset.
The 6-foot turkey kid. Hey, Alan Grant, remember when you scared me? I want to work under you. Thankfully, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but it might as well have, because everything else about this movie is just the first movie again.
Yeah, it opens with a dinosaur having to be contained, and, things go awry.
Jesus God, yeah, we need to start with the opening of this movie.
Yeah,
this is awful.
This movie opens, like I said, with a failed attempt, well, I guess a successful attempt to keep a dinosaur contained, but it results in the death of one of the employees. And these doors that they use to contain the dinosaur go haywire because a Snickers bar wrapper gets sucked into them.
Yeah, these are professional scientists working in a top secret facility, presumably with high grade material and security systems.
$1 billion equipment.
But because a Snickers wrapper is sucked into a ventilation on the door, which makes sense, I guess.
That makes everything malfunction.
Everything short circuits. The door is left open. The dino is able to get loose. The whole system collapses because of one Snickers bar.
Oh, and believe me, that's not the last appearance of a Snickers bar.
Yeah, we got Snickers, we got M&Ms, we got Twix, we got all sorts of products in this movie.
Product placement up the wazoo.
So the opening is trash because just the absurdity of a Snickers bar wrapper setting off the chain of events. I was thinking back to Avengers Endgame with the rat that accidentally opens up the portal that brings Ant-Man back into the timeline. It's like, you know what? That doesn't seem so bad by comparison. It's such a horrible contrivance in this movie that sets off the entire chain of events. I cannot believe that anybody actually wrote it.
They couldn't do anything, even something out of the big bag of cliches, I don't know, there's weather interference, it messes up our power grid, or a tree falls on the generator. Something, not a Snickers bar.
Yeah, any an electrical storm, or maybe they're doing their work or research in the middle of a hurricane, since it's a tropical storm or something.
Yeah,
wipes out the grid.
As long as we're stealing from the first one, take the storm as well.
Might as well. And then after that, we kind of get the setup with the businessman and the mission, and then we get to the island and we have kind of our first set piece with the mosasaur in the water, where it's hunting the ship and they're trying to get the shot to get the DNA.
In that scene where they're hunting the dinosaur, they're on the water in the boat hunting the dinosaur, and his like tail or whatever is poking out of the water. Were you thinking about Godzilla -1 and how much better it was during that scene? Because I was.
No, I wish I was thinking about that, but
Because Godzilla -1, that's a great scene. There's legit tension in that scene.
yeah, no. What I was thinking was, why are the characters aiming for specific sections when this is a giant ass creature, and you're so close to it? Why are you aiming for a specific spot? Like, just shoot the thing. It's awful. It's boring.
Oh, speaking of things that are taken out of the 90s, this wasn't even in the original movie. They shoehorn in a little dinosaur sidekick so they can make a toy out of it.
Yeah, they domesticate like a little baby triceratops or
Triceratops.
yeah, and
Yeah, the family, the little lost vacationing family, happen upon this little baby yellow Triceratops, and they...
the little girl starts feeding it licorice.
Yeah.
Which seems like a bad idea because if we're following the rules of the first one, I don't remember if they ever addressed this. Maybe they evolved past it, but like I thought they could only eat stuff with lysine in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So she's feeding this thing candy, which seems like a really terrible idea. And we'll come back to some of the rules that this movie breaks that it sets up a little bit later. One involving that dinosaur, but yeah, it's we got to have a little pet dinosaur in this one for children, so we can sell a little plushie. And that's kind of another problem. Is like every decision made about this movie feels like a marketing gimmick, because of the reaction to the last one. Everybody complained that the last one was, not about dinosaurs, and it's like, you brought back the whole cast of the original so we can make a movie about bugs.
Yeah, it was about Locust and Campbell Scott.
It's like, you know what? I will take that movie, flaws and all, and its horribleness and being too long and being about bugs, over just ripping off the first one again. Yeah, the first set piece is not really all that exciting. Move on to the island where we get more jokes. The family is split up from the mercenaries. Our CEO, businessman guy, slowly becomes more villainous as the movie progresses.
Yeah, the financier here that's funding the expedition. He's not a John Hammond type. He's just a generic corporate asshole out to make a profit.
He's Dennis Nedry.
Oh yeah.
They even do the thing later where he has DNA samples and he has to make it to the docks.
Yeah, I noticed that. He rode past a sign that says docks because they want to invoke the East Dock.
He's got the DNA samples that he wants to take for his own profit, and then there's the docks where they have to get so he can get off the island.
Yeah, I seriously thought he was going to get eaten by Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, so he's the Dennis Nedry of the movie. / John Hammond, which I think is also them trying to be more like the original book, because isn't John Hammond more of a villainous type character in the book?
Yeah, I've read the book. John Hammond is a cartoon villain in the book.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like they brought back David Koepp to write this screenplay for this, and he also wrote the screenplay for the first one.
Yeah, co-wrote it with Michael Crichton.
So all he's doing is ripping off the movie he already helped write. And then he's just putting in stuff from that book that he didn't do in the first one because they changed some of the characters and scenarios. Like, I understand there's like a T-Rex chase in the water with rafts in the book.
Yeah, I believe that's right. It's been a while. And they also stole something from the second book. There's a sequence towards the end where Scarlett Johansson and the villain are hiding underneath a Jeep. That's right out of the shitty second book.
So... And that T-Rex scene is in this movie. It's like, okay, well, we couldn't find a reason to do this in the original movie, so now I'm going to put it in this one.
They couldn't use the birdcage scene, though, because they already put that in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, and stuff like that feels like, after the fact, just like marketing for the movie. Because they kind of touted, we're going back to basics, we're getting back to our horror roots, we brought back David Koepp to write the script. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, they realized the last one was a colossal, like, miscalculation, and we're kind of taking this series back to what it's supposed to be. We'll get the original screenwriter back. Maybe he understands, what works about this series and can possibly write something good. But no, this movie is all Hollywood executives' studio notes, and David Koepp's only role is to tie those notes together with a flimsy story, with flimsy characters.
It's almost like his inclusion of this was a member berry in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's all just to sell you the movie that, you think that you want, but really it's just, okay, it's Jurassic Park. What do we have to have? We have to have children in peril. We have to have a T-Rex scene. We have to have a villain who's a corporate villain who's running away from something. We have to have the paleontologist guy. And we have to have a father with the kids. Or it's a bunch of studio notes about what they think this series does well or what they think this series is about. But they have no idea what the movies in the series is about. Back to kind of like the mercenaries doing their thing. The second set piece with the Titanosaurus or whatever it's called, and this is where they rip off the herd scene from the first movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. When they get the second sample, they need to rip off the Brachiosaurus herd scene because they keep doing that. The first time we see a dinosaur in these movies in all their glory was the wonderful, majestic Brachiosaurus scene from Jurassic Park 1. They know that struck a chord with people, and they keep trying to come back to it because they would use the Brachiosaurus for sympathy in those god-awful Jurassic World movies.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing here. Here's some Brachiosaurus, only their tails are longer.
Yeah, they're taller and their tails are longer.
And did you feel disgusted every time they brought back that John Williams theme?
Yeah, that was the very next thing I was going to talk about. Is like this movie and these filmmakers have no idea how to use the Jurassic Park score or the Jurassic Park theme. They just wield it like
a kid who found his dad's gun.
Yeah, like a carrot on a stick, just like, or like keys jingling in front of a baby. It's like, oh, look, it's the Jurassic Park theme. Doesn't this make you feel things? It's like, yeah, it does when it's attached to something that's interesting and majestic and exciting to watch and kind of profound. We're in a helicopter flying, and then the Jurassic Park theme is playing.
Yeah, they just straight up rip off the Brachiosaurus scene from the first one. When it got to the musical cue where it happens in the first movie, you almost expect to hear Alan Grant sing, "They're moving in herds. They do move in herds." Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na.
We're gonna make a fortune with this place.
Yeah, I could hear that in my head, too.
So they rip off that scene.
Then they go cliff diving or whatever.
Then we go dropping down the side of a cliff where we got to get the third sample from some pterodactyl-looking things. And we come across some, like, ancient ruins that they built a nest in.
Yeah.
We get the sample, and then we climb back up the cliff where the pterodactyl thing is chasing them. And wow, exciting. Much exciting.
And then at the beginning of the movie, the dinosaur that they were trying to keep contained is revealed at the end as the final obstacle. And it looks like the Cloverfield monster mixed with the final boss of Echo the Dolphin.
This movie keeps doing the thing with like mutated dinosaurs because, people are tired of the originals. They want something crazier, that's more aggressive with bigger teeth and blah, blah, blah.
I actually saw a kid today with a toy of that dinosaur, the mutant.
It looked like something out of Alien.
Yeah, like I said, the final boss of Echo the Dolphin, very clearly inspired by Giger.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Jurassic Park. It doesn't feel like, the things that this movie or this series has done right in the past.
So what other rules did they break?
There's just like logic holes and logic problems, like this station that they go to that somehow has power.
Oh yeah, it's still like automated.
Oh, this is also the section where they rip off the kitchen scene.
Yeah, yes, that happens again.
Except it's in a convenience store now that's filled with candy.
Yeah.
Lots of snacks and soda and
Snickers and pointed directly
M&Ms
at the camera. And
Twix.
A kid uses a reflection to fool a dinosaur just like the first one.
Yep. They rip that off, only it's not near as well done. Yeah, there's the Dennis Nedry stuff with them getting to the docks. And ultimately, like all of these movies, they have to try to escape the island of dinosaurs, which is the same exact thing that they did in the last one, which is the same exact thing they did in the one before that, which is the same exact thing they did in the one before that.
Man, the
and
only
so
one that
on.
did anything kind of fresh was Jurassic Park 2. They brought the dinosaur to the city, which was stupid, but at least it's something different.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give 3 a pass because it made sense why they were on that island again.
That's the other thing is like Alan Grant also took the job for money,
Yeah,
but
but
he was fooled into thinking that it was a trip just in the air to kind of like give a tour to people.
yeah, precisely.
He was deceived because these people actually lost their kid on like a vacation trip, and they're trying to find him on this island, and they need him to be the tour guide because he knows how these creatures operate because he's been there and seen them firsthand. You would think like the Kirbys are the bad guys, but it becomes about kind of their fractured family and then the wife and the husband and the kid and everybody kind of coming back together. It's a short, nice little adventure with likable, enjoyable characters performed by good actors like
Yes.
William H. Macy, Sam Neill. Everybody's good in that movie. This is the total opposite. These are horrible, awful people, with the exception of Duncan, who are horrible and awful for the majority of the movie until they decide that they're not. And then that's pretty much it. Like, it's just rip-off scenes of the first movie, flimsily tied together, overcomplicated by this family side story that should not be in the movie. So, like, yeah, the story is nothing. It's just nothing. It's repeated scenes, reheated and microwaved scenes from the first movie, tied together with some treks through a jungle in between. When they go to that compound at the end, there's even the high voltage fence, and you're like,
Yeah.
are they gonna do the thing again, or are they gonna do the thing again? And then okay, no, I guess they don't. And that's pretty much it regarding the plot and the characters and the story. It's all terrible. It's all garbage. It's all awful. The action and CG, like the CG.
Oh yeah, it's 2025. The first one came out in 1993. How does it look worse?
Yeah, that baby dinosaur looks awful. Some of the other effects don't look so good. There are some scenes and some shots that look pretty good.
That baby dinosaur doesn't look as bad as 1998's Lost in Space, but I couldn't help but think of that.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, it's pretty freaking bad. The mutated creature looks pretty good in some shots, and that's kind of another thing about this movie is it's directed by Gareth Edwards, who has done these big effects movies before.
Is he the man who perpetrated that Godzilla film?
Yeah, but here's the thing, like, he knew how to shoot Godzilla, and he knew how to light him to make the effects work and to make it pop and to make the scale work.
Yeah.
Like, for as bad as I think that movie is, I do think that's one of the things that he does right. That is nowhere to be seen in this movie except for like one sequence near the end, and that's kind of really one of the only nice things I can say is like I do think this movie finishes kind of strong because there is some tension, and then the effects work and the way they use shadows and lighting is pretty cool and effective, and it feels like Gareth Edwards is actually directing this and not the executives at Universal. And also, the cinematography is actually pretty solid.
This thing is shot on Kodak film.
Yeah, it's shot on film. That was, one of the first things I said to you in the movie. I whispered, is this shot on film?
Yeah.
Because it just has that look and that feel.
Although I didn't care for the color timing, everyone was orange like a Michael Bay film.
Well, yeah. It's a good-looking movie, at least.
Yeah.
From that aspect. Score's trash.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to use the music, and it's very disappointing because Alexander Desplat is doing the score here.
Yeah, they got Desplat up in this bitch.
And, yeah, again, it just feels like the studio is like an albatross around everybody's neck, not letting them do anything interesting because, people talk crap about that last one, so we need to give them... This is what people must have felt like when The Force Awakens came out. Because that movie structurally is largely kind of a rehash of Star Wars, the original. But the thing that movie did was it gave us new characters to care about with fresh motivations and fresh perspectives and fresh backgrounds that we haven't seen. Han Solo's son is, fully on the dark side, and we've got a rogue stormtrooper and like other stuff like that we just haven't seen before, but told in the same structure of that original movie. You can do something like that, but you have to give us characters to like and enjoy. And this movie does not do that. The set pieces themselves, like in a vacuum, are, well enough. But again, when you don't care about anybody involved, you're just watching dinosaurs do action. And I don't care about that.
Yeah, this could have been any generic monster movie. It could have been another entry in the Kong, Skull Island, whatever franchise. It almost feels like a script that they repurposed into a Jurassic World film.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this series is that we have two good examples of different ways of executing this series. We have the original, which had a very strong message, good characters we could get behind that actually evolved and had arcs throughout the movie. It had a message about nature and science and, messing with things we shouldn't. And then we have the third one, which is just a straight adventure amusement park theme ride movie. And that works. But the thing that both have in common is the characters. You have something to latch on to get you through it. And the third one is an hour and a half. This one's 2 hours. So it's just boring. It's not really that important of a spoiler, but another one of the rules that the movie breaks is like this baby dinosaur is presumably going to be taken back to the mainland, outside of this equatorial region where we're told in the beginning that they can't survive.
Mm.
So this baby dinosaur is just being taken to suffocate and die because it can't breathe the air.
Yeah.
Did he just forget that they set that up in the beginning?
Well, that wouldn't be the first time one of these movies forgot something from the others.
Yeah, Site B.
So what is your final number grade on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, while watching it, I was thinking to myself, this isn't terrible. It's very, very boring, and I've seen all of this before. But then after the fact, I just couldn't help thinking, like, how cynical this was, how tired and lazy this was, how every decision made was some kind of marketing decision. From them going out and saying, we're going back to basics, it's going to be a horror movie. We got the writer from the first movie back. We hired Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson. Those are Oscar-winning and nominated actors. Like, we mean business with this one. We're serious again.
And then they did this.
And this is what we came up with. Oh, we got Gareth Edwards, who really understands monster movies and scale, and he knows how to make this work. And everything about this is corporate and lazy and greedy. And also another thing that really bothered me was like the messaging about evil corporations who do things just for profit instead of for the betterment of mankind. And I'm sitting here watching a product designed for profit.
Yeah.
That's not going to progress or advance the art of storytelling or this series in any meaningful way.
So what you're saying is what they did with this one is they patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox. Now they're selling it. They want to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think this is a worse movie than Dominion, which I think is...
Yeah, that's the sad thing. I think I still thought this was better.
I think this is a better movie than Dominion, but I hate this more because of what it is. It's just the like.
It was chance 4, and they dropped the ball again.
It's just peak creative bankruptcy. There's not a original bone in this movie's body. It's just ripping itself off. And what is this, the 7th one?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah.
Yeah, this is the 7th movie. And it's just ripping itself off. Like, there are no new ideas. This series is almost 35 years old. They don't have anything to say.
Well, there is an original idea in this movie, only it was original in 1993.
Yeah, oh. Crichton Middle School.
Oh, God, yeah. Little Easter egg.
Easter egg on the school bus in the beginning.
The man's been dead since, like, 2011. He's not around to appreciate that.
So, Yeah, I would give this probably a 3, and I'm leaning on a 2 because I hated this movie because of what it is.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I was thinking this absolutely sucks, but I'm feeling like maybe 5. Then when it was barreling towards the end, I was like, this is a 4. And as we're talking about it now, I was like, do I want to lower it down to a 3? Maybe.
Yeah, you know, like, I wasn't disliking it too much. Like, the opening is awful, god awful, and abysmal. But, like, when they're setting up the characters and we're kind of, like, doing the whole thing, getting the mission set up and prepared, I was like, okay, you know, this isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. But the movie kind of, like, turns on a dime when they get to the island, and it suddenly becomes a Marvel movie. And I'm just like, this is not the place or time for this. This is not the IP to be doing this with. You guys have totally lost the plot. You don't know what you're doing with this franchise, and you haven't known what you're doing with this franchise since, when did 3 come out?
2001.
2001. And even then, people would argue that they didn't know what they were doing then. So, they haven't known what to do with this series since the original. And I don't think they're ever going to figure out anything else to do with it. And the problem is that people are going to keep turning out for it.
Yep,
because people have stopped caring.
I was about to say that's the sad cherry on top of this Sunday because our theater was packed.
Yep, it's packed. And I didn't hear anybody at the end talking about how awful the story was or how awful the characters were. All they cared about was the cutesy stuff, the dinosaur action.
I heard somebody after the screening say it was definitely badass.
Jesus. I just wish people expected more and held these people to higher standards when we have one of the best movies ever made, you know, in this franchise.
Yeah. A milestone.
Like something to aspire towards, and then they just don't aspire to anything.
From milestone to footnote.
Yeah. It's, well, yeah. Like this franchise needs to be in a coffin yesterday.
This needs to be buried beneath the dirt with the bones.
Oh, just back to the terrible writing. I just have to mention this because it just popped in my head. The museum guy mentions that he wants to be fossilized when he dies.
Yeah.
He wants to be buried in, like, mud because it's easier for him to become a fossil. Like, somebody wrote this.
Well, James Doohan was shot into space.
That's cool. So who's gonna dig up, like, Henry the museum man's bones when he, like, 65 million years in the future? When the aliens come. They're gonna put up a skeleton of Henry in a museum. This is terrible.
Henry, fossil of a paleontologist.
This can't go on. Oh, and why is this called Rebirth? What are we birthing? We're rebirthing the first movie.
Yeah.
They didn't want to just flat out reboot the franchise, but that's essentially what they've done.
Jurassic Park reboot.
They retconned the last movie.
Jurassic Park retcon.
Yeah. Awful. Do not watch this.
Don't watch this.
Please.
For the love of God. Have some standards, people. Addendum. During the editing process of this video, a stunning revelation was made.
So, I just kept thinking about this movie and how much I dislike it and how much I despise what it is and everything it stands for. So I dropped my score to a 2. This movie's garbage. It's awful. It's terrible. It's the worst in the series, in my opinion.
Damn.
Dominion was terrible, but you know what? For as awful as the Locust idea was, at least it was doing something. It was trying to say something or do something with, like, its characters and, like, saying something about crops and messing with science and mutation and stuff like that. This is just rehash city. It doesn't have any ideas. It's garbage.